Number 1.
A killer who left a 23-year-old woman naked and strangled in a carrot field is still walking the streets after more than a quarter of a century. Julie Finley vanished from Liverpool on August 5, 1994, and her naked body was found strangled in a carrot field off the St. Helens-bound carriageway of the Rainford bypass a day later. She was last seen alive just days after her 23rd birthday at the back of the Royal Liverpool University Hospital, whilst talking to a man who was described as white and believed to be aged in his 20s or 30s. Read more. Mum sent child snatcher threats to adoption agency. Her family believe she was snatched from the street or bundled into a car before being attacked and killed. Despite numerous appeals, enquiries, and leads over the last 27 years, her murderer has never been brought to justice. On what would have been Julie's 50th birthday, the independent charity Crimestoppers has launched an appeal for anonymous information and is offering a £10,000 reward. Julie's mother, Pat, who is supporting the appeal for anonymous information, said, "Julie's dad is now passed away, and he went to his grave having never seen justice delivered. Julie would have been 50 on August 1st, and who knows how her life would have turned out had she not been taken from us. I know it has been 27 years since she was murdered, but I want to see justice while I'm still alive and see somebody pay for what they did to Julie." In the early stages, a core team of 15 detectives worked tirelessly to probe the mystery killing, and, in the first 6 months, more than 40 men were questioned. 20 people were arrested over the years, but nobody has ever been charged. Now, Crimestoppers is supporting Merseyside Police its investigation by offering a reward of up to £10,000 for information they exclusively receive that leads to the arrest and conviction of the person or people linked to Julie Finley's murder. Mick Duthie, director of operations at Crimestoppers, said, "Julie's family remain desperate for answers. Our charity is supporting the investigation by offering this reward to get justice for Julie's family. We are here to help people who, for whatever reason, feel unable to speak directly to the police. Like the millions of people who have trusted us since we began in the late 1980s, we absolutely guarantee you will stay 100% anonymous. Always. We are independent and offer you an alternative. So much time has now passed, and we believe someone will know who was responsible. You owe it to Julie's loving family to do the right thing. Now's the time to speak up anonymously and tell us what you know. If you have information linked to this murder, no matter how small, I urge you to make a difference and call our UK contact centre, which is open 24/7, on free phone 0800 555 111, or you can use our simple and secure anonymous online form at www.crimestoppers-uk.org. Nobody will know you contacted our charity, and you'll be doing the right thing for Julie, her family and her friends."
Number 2.
She had worked as a prostitute for about 10 years in the Leeds and Bradford areas, and by late 1991 she was heavily addicted to crack cocaine. It was reported that she had been arrested more times by the Vice Squad than anyone could remember. She had come from Bradford, but was last known to have been living in Chapeltown with a friend up until Christmas 1991. She was last seen around the summer of 1992 and was found bound and gagged in a shallow grave at Warren Point, Norwood Edge by a man that was out looking for fungi on 12 September 1992. Her body was found in a natural hollow in the ground that had then been covered over with branches. It was badly decomposed when found, but it was determined that she had stab wounds to the chest and back. She was identified about 2 weeks later. Yvonne Fitt often worked in the Manningham area of Bradford as a prostitute and was well known in the area. It was noted that she was one of a few black prostitutes that worked in the area and that she had not been seen since summer 1992. It was heard that by December 1991 things were going badly wrong in Yvonne Fitt's life and that she was addicted to crack cocaine and was becoming anxious and paranoid. Her friend with whom she was living with in Chapeltown around that time said that Yvonne Fitt told her that she couldn't go back to Bradford as there were people there that would do her in, saying that she had got into some debt and owed some money. Her friend added, that Yvonne Fitt said on several occasions that someone was going to find her one day and that she was going to come to some harm and that she was sure that she was being followed and that someone was watching her. However, her friend said that Yvonne Fitt vanished at Christmas time. Yvonne Fitt was next seen in May 1992 at the Duncan pub in Leeds town centre by a friend shortly before 7 p.m. The friend said that Yvonne Fitt looked terrible and that she stayed for a drink, during which she told her that she was looking for someone. The friend said that she told Yvonne Fitt that she should see a doctor and told her that she looked as though she had really let herself go. The friend said that Yvonne Fitt left the pub but came back that evening at about 10 p.m. and that when she did so she looked completely different to how she had done before, saying that she was laughing and appeared happy and was talking to a well-dressed middle-aged man with grey hair. The friend noted that she had never seen the man since. However, the man was seen again with Yvonne Fitt about 2 months later in July 1992, and the police said that they were interested in identifying him. Later, in Bradford, between June and September 1992, a policewoman who worked with the Vice Squad who knew Yvonne Fitt said that she was driving along Bertham Road in an unmarked police car when she saw Yvonne Fitt walking along the pavement. She said that when he saw her, she was scurrying along and looked like a frightened rabbit and behaving as though she didn't really want to be seen. Another event that the police said they were not sure really happened was that of Yvonne Fitt being seen to be bundled into a green van on Bertram Road by 3 men. The incident was reported by an anonymous caller who didn't call again and who left no personal details. During the police investigation, the police said that they were keen to find out where Yvonne Fitt had been between January and May 1992, noting that she often stayed away with friends for 2 or 3 weeks but had never been away for that long before, and said that they wanted to find out where she had been and who she had been with. During the police appeal, the police noted that they didn't think that the murderer would have ever expected Yvonne Fitt's body to be found and identified, and said that when Yvonne Fitt was found and identified, that her murderer would have possibly reacted to that in some way that someone else might have picked up on as a change in behavior or an increase in anxiety. Yvonne Fitt had an 11-year-old daughter and was herself one of 7 children. 3 people were questioned during the investigation but not charged. In September 2019, the police appealed the four-caller that called into the Crime Watch episode in November 1992, naming a suspect to call them again.
Number 3.
Last week marked 21 years since Victoria Vicky Glass disappeared into thin air. Investigators have marked a passing milestone by calling for a review of the cold case. Vicky was one of 3 young women who vanished between April 1998 and June 2002, but despite the common reference of these 3 cases as the Middlesbrough murders, there has never been a connection established between the 3 cases that would point to their killer being the same person. 21-year-old Vicky was last seen on September 24, 2000, when a cab driver dropped her off on Union Street near the Eshwood Square junction in Middlesbrough. 6 weeks later, her naked body was discovered in a remote area near Danby, on the North York Moors. Vicky's family has waited a long time for justice. Cleveland police are hoping their renewed appeal for information and a review of the case might finally give them the peace they deserve. By all accounts, Vicky was a popular girl at Blackiston School during her years there. She was an active member of the Kiora Jazz Band in Roseworth. Teachers described her as caring and thoughtful of others, but by the time her 18th birthday rolled around, Vicky had begun to change. Her family blames new friends she was making for leading her down a dark path that would eventually lead to her death. Before she vanished, Vicky had become embroiled in a risky lifestyle. People in her circle exploited her as a vulnerable teen and lead her down a path where she became addicted to heroin and other drugs. Her drug habit led her to walk the streets as a sex worker, where she eventually disappeared before being found murdered and discarded. Around Christmas time in 1999, the year before Vicky vanished, she was ill with a chest infection and homeless. A friend introduced her to a male acquaintance living at 16 Petch Close, Middlesbrough, and she was offered shelter there while she regained her health. She was still living there months later, with the male owner of the household reportedly making her doctor's appointments and attempting to help her get her life together. However, Vicky remained addicted to drugs and still performed sex work to fund her habit. Vicky vanished only 3 days after her 21st birthday. It is known that Vicky was involved in sex work. She was working the trade in the Cannon Park and Gresham areas of Middlesbrough that night and into the weekend. As Saturday night faded into Sunday morning, Vicky met a male client on Borough Road, Middlesbrough, and they went to 104 Princes Road, a location commonly used by drug users and sex workers. After their business was concluded, Vicky left with her client, and they caught a cab to Union Street before venturing back to the client's home in Norton, Stockton. Vicky remained there for only a bit before calling her usual service, Cleveland Taxis, to take her back to Middlesbrough. They sent a white Vauxhall Vectra with a registration plate of R790 LFV to pick her up at the client's home. The time was 4 a.m. on Sunday 24, 2000. 20 minutes later, Vicky emerged from the taxi on Union Street near Eshwood Square, just behind the Shipmate pub, now called The Junction, and the taxi drove away, returning to the Cleveland Taxis service hub on Borough Road, Middlesbrough. The location was less than 5 minutes from where she lived on Petch Close, but she didn't return there. What happened to Vicky in those final moments, after she stepped from the taxi and onto the street, is unknown. When she didn't return to her home at Petch Close, the male companion who had been caring for her grew concerned for her well-being. He began reaching out to friends and visiting locations she frequented in search of her. When he was unable to locate her himself, he turned to the Cleveland police for help. They launched an investigation into Vicky's disappearance. On Friday, November 3, 2000, a dog walker in Danby, North Yorkshire, discovered Vicky's nude body in a remote area of the moors there. The investigation quickly shifted from looking for a missing person to looking for the person who murdered her, but after more than 20 years, the killer continues to escape prosecution for this horrible crime. It has been suggested that Vicky might have been a victim of Stephen Sean Griffiths, the crossbow cannibal, but Vicky's stepfather has discounted this theory completely, and it doesn't seem to hold any real weight as a theory. Now, a new team headed up by Detective Chief Inspector, DCI, Peter Carr has been put together, and the original investigation has been reviewed by the Historical Investigation Unit. They remain determined to find justice for Vicky, even after more than 2 decades. DCI Carr said, "We will be going out to members of the public and re-engaging with witnesses. People could be more prepared to speak now, their loyalties could have changed, and one of the big things I would say is that whoever was responsible for the murder of Vicky, I strongly believe they will have confided in somebody. They will have spoken to a loved one, a relative, a partner about that, and maybe after 21 years things will have changed, and we would appeal to that person to come forward and give us that evidence. Somebody must know what happened to Vicky and who was responsible for her murder. Any piece of evidence you may have, please come forward. What may seem small to you could be the key we need to solve this case." In the years that have passed, 4 people have been brought in for questioning, but none have been formally charged with a crime related to the case. DCI Carr now intends to bring in new potential witnesses and review more than 200 hours of CCTV footage gathered during the original investigation. Additionally, forensic techniques not available at the time of her murder will be employed. These include improved abilities to digitally enhance images captured by video and opening new lines of inquiry, not previously an option. Though Vicky's mother, Deborah Goodall, passed away in 2015 without having seen justice in her daughter's case, the remainder of the family has expressed a renewed hope that Vicky's killer might eventually be caught. They issued a statement through the police saying, "We feel the loss of Vicky every day. She deserves justice and hope that this reinvestigation puts those responsible behind bars. She did not deserve to have her life taken. No one had the right to do that. Vicky was loved deeply by us, and as a family we have been through turmoil, especially as Ma'am Deborah passed away without any answers, knowing Vicky's killer is out there, and people have information that they are not coming forward with. Please do the right thing and help get justice for Vicky and give our family some hope of healing. We plead with you to do the right thing by contacting the police or Crime Stoppers." Investigators reviewing the case have launched a website with details about the case and an appeal for any new information the public might be able to share with the police. Anyone with information is urged to call Cleveland Police on 101 or through Crime Stoppers on 0800 555 111.
Number 4.
Police have marked the 15th anniversary of a Doncaster pensioner's unsolved murder by revealing they are using modern DNA technology in a bid to find previously undiscovered clues about her killer. Nora Tait was bludgeoned to death in her home at Stone Close Avenue, Hexthorpe, in 2005, an attack infamous for both its brutality and lack of apparent motive. The 69-year-old had returned home after buying fish and chips for lunch and is thought to have been killed soon after because she never had chance to eat the meal, though her body was found by a friend the following day. A black purse was the only item stolen, and that has never been recovered, with police also failing to find the weapon used by her murderer. South Yorkshire police believe evidence recovered at the time could contain DNA which was undetectable back then. Detective Chief Inspector Mark Otten said, "Nora was killed in the most horrific circumstances, and 15 years on, we are still very much committed to finding her killer and bringing some element of closure for her family. We have always believed that the answers as to what happened to Nora and who killed her lie within the local community." This inquiry has received an incredible amount of support from the public over the years, but I know that people's allegiances change over time. I am urging anyone who holds information about Nora's death that they have never previously shared to contact us. Advancing DNA technology regularly provides us with new opportunities in cases like this. This has led to successes in other historic investigations, and I am hopeful that it will lead to new lines of inquiry here. Nora's family deserve to know what happened to her. If you have any information which you haven't previously shared, no matter how insignificant, there are a number of ways you can pass this to us. If you don't feel comfortable speaking to police, you can give information anonymously. Nora's family said, "This week marks the 15th anniversary of our mother, grandmother, sister and friend Nora Tait, Watson, being killed in her home in Hexthorpe, Doncaster. Our mother, who was dearly loved by her friends, family, and neighbors, was murdered in her home on what could have only seemed like an ordinary day for her. She was taken away in the most cruel way, and never being granted the closure that we all deserve only adds to the ongoing pain we all feel. As always, we plead that anybody who has any information about her murder come forward. Somebody knows something, has had or overheard a conversation relating to it, and is carrying this with them. It is time to do the right thing and help us close our mother's case and finally allow her to rest in peace. Anyone with information can contact South Yorkshire Police. To remain completely anonymous, contact the independent charity Crime Stoppers via their website crimestoppersuck.org or by calling their UK contact centre on 0800 555 111.